Welcome everyone today to our Professional Science Masters virtual information session. My name is Megan Dovick. I'm the director of our PSM programs here at the University of Utah, and I'll get into that in a minute. But thank you everyone for zooming in today. Today we're going to be going high level over what our program is, all the degrees that we offer, things that make our program unique, what you should be doing now, application questions, and then we'll leave room at the end of the hour for open questions. So as you think of questions, as we're going through, if we're not actually answering for you, remember them or put them into the chat, and we'll come back to them um, later on in the presentation in the session. All right. All right. So our team is myself, and we also have Michelle Moy on here as well. Like I said, I'm the program director. My background is interdisciplinary, both in biology, environmental law, and in geomicrobiology. And I've been the director of this program since 2022. And I've been involved, I think that's right, 2022. And but I've been involved with the program since 2020. And I'll hand it over to Michelle to introduce herself.
I'm the program manager, and I double majored in English and biology and then came to this program and got an environmental science master's degree. I was drawn by the interdisciplinary side of things, as you can probably tell from my background. So I've got a pretty good depth of knowledge about the program. I worked away from the U for a couple of years after getting it, and now I'm back.
Okay, so one of the questions that people commonly and first and foremost ask, well, what is a professional master's program? And essentially what we like to tell people is that a professional science master's is a master's of science degree that combines both the technical STEM coursework in addition with essential business and professional durable skills. These things include the highly desirable, employable skill sets of communication and finance and understanding, project management, operations. Uh, I'm missing a few things, conflict management, team dynamics, all of those things that tend to get overlooked in a traditional MS degree. We like to put it as a foundational pillar within this program. And then in addition, you get to increase your or improve on your technical skills. Why a professional science master's? What are the value adds? Why is it that our students come to this program? Um, Kind of building off a little bit more of that interdisciplinary approach. Our students frequently and fondly call this their STEM BA. It's for scientists who don't necessarily want to step away from science, but they also understand that they need some of those practical professional skill sets. They also are usually the type that don't want to go and get a full MBA, but they need to understand the jargon, the language, and how to represent themselves or communicate their science better in an industry-facing setting. People come to our program because we offer full or part-time options. So at any given semester, if you can take on a full-time course load, which includes 3 classes at a graduate level, so that's 9 credits is considered full-time. Or perhaps you're balancing work and coming back to school and you're like, I can only do 1 class this semester. You don't need to apply for anything different. We allow you to go back and forth with a cadence depending on what meets your professional need. With that, it takes people anywhere from 2 years if they're doing full time for each semester there, fall, summer, or fall, spring, or up to 4 years is kind of our time limit that we really encourage people to be complete with this program. Why people come to our program also, it is a non-thesis program. In lieu of a traditional academic thesis that usually is the end result is a manuscript for publication or original research for working for a lab and an internal PI, we do a capstone project. We call it our professional experience project, and I'll get really into that at the end. People take advantage in our program. Our students come here because we really try hard to encourage what we call stackable credentials. At the University of Utah, we have several graduate certificates. These are accredited, credit-bearing um, certificates that you can get in an emphasis or in an addition to your PSM degree. Things like our deep learning and AI robotics graduate certificate. We work very closely with that program. We highly encourage it if you are on that more data science path. We have other ones. We have a public policy one that several of our students have taken. We've had other ones historically, depending on if the certificate is being offered in hydrology, GIS, but they go in and out. And Michelle is the person who knows all things about what's being offered on the curriculum forefront. The point is, you can maximize your time here, you can get a degree, and you can get other credentials, essentially double dipping for the same cost. Whoops, sorry, just one more thing, Michelle. Let me go back. Okay. And career focused. Day one, this program, we talk about what are your end goals coming into this program. Often we see master's and even PhD programs talk about this in their last semester. Okay, you're about to graduate. What do you want to do? We think that is already 2 years too late. So we make it a top priority from day one to really kind of set a path, create a roadmap, and make sure that what you're doing here aligns beautifully with what you want to get out of it. And because of that, this is also a really great value. Um, if you were to go into, let's say, an MBA, even here at the University of Utah, you're looking at 70 to 90 K for an MBA. We like to say that give or take, you can complete for in-state tuition, our PSM program, for around 30K. Again, give or take because there's some tuition fluxes between courses here at the U. Okay, now I'll hand it over to Michelle.
All right. So we offer four different degrees, which is probably what you're really interested in. It's going to be environmental science, computational and data science, biotechnology, or earth resource management. Within environmental science, it can be a really broad field. So we have students who focus really heavily on hydrology or air quality issues and clean energy, maybe sustainability or GIS. There are a lot of ways you can take that. Computational and data science is going to be really, advanced level computer science courses. So if you're someone who's like, oh, I have a finance background, I want to switch. Some students can do that if they've got a lot of math and some programming background, but you are jumping into graduate level computer science classes. I try to be pretty clear about what the prerequisites for that program are. If you have questions, though, reach out. Biotechnology, we've got some pretty good biotech sector in the Salt Lake City area. Our program tends to focus especially on diagnostics, genetics, immunology, bioanalytic chemistry. And then our newest program is Earth Resource Management. This was developed with one of the big mining companies in Utah, but worldwide, also Rio Tinto. And we work really closely with the mining engineering program in this program. It's a big emphasis on kind of running mineral operations. Another big emphasis of our program is community. If you have applied for a job recently, you know that it's pretty easy to send out a lot of resumes, to have cover letters written by AI, to have companies that are hiring getting maybe hundreds of applications that are screened by AI. Right now, we're finding that person-to-person interactions are a really big advantage in breaking into the job market. And that might mean, meeting a hiring manager, but it might also mean getting to hear about opportunities through other members of your cohort. So we have a strong cohort philosophy. The courses that we teach, like the project management for scientists and engineers, those courses you will, and we'll talk about this more in a second, you'll progress through those with your cohort of interdisciplinary students. And so you'll have these connections and contacts. We bring in alumni to talk to our students in different classes at panels, and students have found positions and projects through meeting alumni. We really try to help people build their professional network through different kinds of events that we hold and encourage our students to attend as well. Here are a couple of the places where our alumni are working. You'd probably expect with environmental science, there are going to be a lot of division of forestry and, you know, Salt Lake County watershed, places like that, a lot of government positions. With biotech, we've got BioFire and 3Helix and bioMérieux, ARUP, University of Utah Health, which is Myriad Genetics and Huntsman Cancer Institute. And then our a lot of our data science students end up sort of what is the word I'm looking for? Like Northrop Grumman, Booz Allen, adjacent to
Like DOE, DOD kind
Yeah,
of
DoD kind of
affiliation.
stuff. But there are some that end up, with the IRS or Jeffries or Zions Bank. A lot of places, data science opens up lots of opportunities. A lot of our data science students actually work in the biotech industry too. So, application requirements. Some of you have heard about this from me already. Prior to deadlines passed, not a big deal. We still have places for you. Regular deadline is April 1st. If the program seats have not been filled by then, and I don't anticipate that they will be, we will continue to accept applications on a rolling basis, definitely not after July 1st. There's no late fee if it's after April 1st. So if you're thinking about applying, I'd encourage you to get that in. And I will say, if you are kind of on the fence about if this is your year or not, sometimes we've had students apply and then defer a year before they enter. So there's no downside to applying if you know it's going to be either this year or next year and you're on the fence about it. The requirements are you need a relevant undergraduate education with a minimum 3.0 GPA. The admissions committee will look closely at the courses that are the foundation for your field. So if you came through with just barely a 3.0 GPA and you did really well in all your generals, but you struggled in all your math and science, that's going to be working against you for sure. But if you aced all your math and science, then welcome to the program, I guess. Three letters of recommendation are also important. We love to see people with a professional background. We understand that some of you are coming in straight from undergrad and you really only have academic recommenders. That's fine. We also have people who've been out of the workforce for a long time and might be relying only on professional. Mix is ideal, but we understand that this is a program we're trying to be a pathway for people back into school, whatever their situation. Um, a personal statement, and we say a relevant personal statement. Megan mentioned our program, students in our program are not heavily involved in academic research. So if your personal statement says, I cannot wait to work in a lab with your faculty, I cannot wait to go on to a PhD, we're going to feel like you might not know what program you've applied to and that this might not be the right spot for you. So just make sure that your personal statement is tailored to the kind of program you're applying to if you apply to ours. GRE is optional. Honestly, like nobody is taking the GRE applying to our program these days. If you've taken it and did well and want to submit that, go for it. And then for international students, there are going to be additional admissions requirements. They vary depending on where you're from. I am not an expert on all the different countries, so please, if that applies to you, see the International Student Services webpage for the University of Utah. Tuition, there is a tuition estimator. It's not very accurate. I recently ran the numbers and found that it was uh, underestimating how much tuition is going to cost. But you can maybe see on this page in this red box, it says tuition estimates are based on information that is input and the current tuition rate schedule posted on the income accounting website. That tuition rate schedule, if you want to get a really good idea of what your tuition is going to look like, is what's relevant. Tuition can be a little different even for in-state students from semester to semester. The U of U, I know a lot of universities, it's a flat rate once you hit full-time student status. So it's going to be the same if you're taking 9 credits as a grad student or 14 credits. That is not the case here. You're going to pay per credit, and different departments may charge slightly different amounts, or in the case of the law school and business school, quite a bit more. So students who are studying hydrology might be taking, a groundwater modeling class, but they also have the option to take water law, which is amazing. But that class is going to cost you more. So keep that in mind if you are on a very tight budget with your tuition. Summer classes, however, are in-state tuition rates for all students. Out-of-state tuition is quite a bit more. I'm sure you know. International tuition is quite a bit more. Summer classes are going to be cheaper. There are not many offered. If you want to go into your options there, I am happy to talk about it. Finally, if you are an out-of-state student, but you are from this western region of the United States, all the states pictured here, including Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands, can get a reduced non-resident tuition rate. There are a limited number of seats, but we haven't had many apply for this Western Regional Graduate Program tuition discount. It's not as cheap as in-state, but it's definitely not as much as out-of-state. So let me know if you might qualify for that. Generally, I see, I'm in communication with students when they're admitted to the program. If I see that they have residency in one of these states, I'll talk to them about it, but I don't know if I catch it every time. So, something to be aware of. Program requirements. Megan, I'm going to pass it off to you.
Okay, thank you. All right. To complete our program, we have basically chunked it out. Essentially, you're going to have roughly 50% of your course credits are going to be in that technical skill course. So that's going to be in the degree program that you applied in. And we have recommended, or we have core STEM courses within your field that you are applying for, as well as we have a suite of electives. And Michelle and I work very closely with you to help you understand that process. Michelle is your number one go-to. I fill in as needed. We also then have what we call the professional skill courses. Again, the unique part that makes our program that professional element. That's 12 credits. That equates to 4 courses. We have curated all of those courses in our program here very intentionally. Um, over and that continues that cohort model. So you'll take a professional skill course your fall semester, spring semester, there's option in the summer, and then even into your second year fall. And then you wrap up with what we call this the professional experience project. You can think of this as kind of your capstone for the program, and that is 3 credits. All in all, 36 credits. Similar to having the required GPA coming into the program, grad school policy is you have to have a cumulative 3.0 GPA in order to receive a graduate degree from the U of U. And there's some flexibility in some of those core electives, but I don't need to go into those details here. But that's the basic breakdown. What I really want to dive into just a little bit further is this professional experience project. This is a huge value add for our students, but it's also a big amount of work. So we'll get right into that. Okay, so this is built into a class. So like I said, it's a 3 credit class. And reason why we do this is we really want to kind of at the onset let students realize like you will be committing around 12 to 15 hours a week for this project. That equates to how much graduate school policy is around how much time you should be committing to each graduate course. Generally, people take this their last semester. However, people start planning for it starting their second semester. We start talking about it. We have um, uh, Canvas courses that are non-credit that help you as basically a resource hub with milestones to help you get started. Um, the high level, what is required is it's 150 to 250 professional project with a non-academic sponsor in which you provide a value add that both demonstrates your STEM technical expertise that you've learned during your program, as well as a business or a non-STEM objective. Things like a cost analysis, market research, um, management strategies, community engagement that relates a lot of your STEM elements. So a lot of that data gathering, collection, experiment, those sort of things. You will wrap this up. Part of the requirements is after your project, after you've implemented, you will do a final presentation for a faculty committee that we will help arrange and set up with you, as well as you will submit a final report, which is the evaluation component of the class. And at the end of the day, you will get a letter grade for the entire project from ideation all the way through execution. Things that you can even start thinking about now. So if you're like, hey, I'm, is this me still, Michelle? Or is this you?
We have a summit page that I'm seeing, but maybe it's not showing up for you.
I see the
That
summit
on summit?
flyer.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, we just want to bring this to your attention. If you are still thinking about the program and you're not quite sure what the vibe is, we welcome you to come to this summit. We do this. This is our second annual PSM Summit Innovation in Action. This year it's on Wednesday, April 15th, 2026 from 3 to 6:30 p.m. on campus. We can, if you are interested in this, actually, if you're already on this list, we will likely send an invitation to you. You're more than welcome to come. Check it out. What this really is we will have our current graduating students, we'll be doing elevator pitches, um, presenting research posters, as well as we will have industry and future employers that will come and give lightning talks. So it's a really great bridge between kind of that academic life and industry setting. And we put everyone in the same room. We help create organic connections. And for those who are thinking about the program, this is a great first step into really creating those networks and those professional contacts before you even start. There's a lot on here. I'm not gonna spend too much time on here, but if you were going through this program and you were full time, this is kind of the lay of the land. Your first semester, you would take our professional development course as well as a applied statistic techniques class. This is where you're going to learn R code and apply it to statistical analysis, as well as you would probably start on your core STEM, so those core degree requirements. That's 9 credits. Your first year spring, you're going to continue doing those cohort professional skill courses with operations and project management. Um, we have a 1 credit special topic seminar, really kind of that quintessential graduate seminar. You're reading a lot of literature papers, doing critical thinking, and discussing and presenting. And you're likely going to then take 6 other credits. This is usually two classes in your STEM field. That summer, if you choose, we have another one of our cohort professional courses, business development, highly recommend. As well as if you're in, I would say, the environmental field or even our data science. I teach an environmental field methods where we work closely and we work closely for our client, which is the Nature Conservancy, and collaboratively with state agencies, including Utah Geologic Survey, to continue wetland environmental monitoring, where we collect data, learn field techniques, and then we present the data professionally to the Nature Conservancy. So we're kind of act as a small consulting agency. As well as we have another seminar, 1 credit, called Climate Innovation Summit Seminar. And this is built off of a summit that is hosted here on campus. And very similar again, really exposing and getting the idea of how do scientists transition or become entrepreneurs or innovators or leaders. And that class goes kind of more into that idea, those ideas, and follows and engages with people who are actually have lived that life. Second year, you have your final professional skill course that we offer, scientific reasoning. This is built around ethics and thinking through objectively what is science, breaking it down, and how it applies to society and your future, essentially, as professional scientists. You're going to continue to take 6 other STEM courses. You'll probably be at that elective stage at this point. And then if you're full-time, your last semester is that second year spring. This is where you're likely, well, you should take your professional experience project. And then if any other credits that you need to fill, STEM or otherwise. And if you're going part-time, it's this path, just a little extended. I will end with this one before I pass it over to Michelle, and then you can chime in as well. We get people every year. So, our very first course that we require every one of our students to take is a full 16-week professional development course. People will come into this program with varying degrees of professional experience from straight out of undergrad, maybe you've done an internship, maybe you've done a little work in a lab, maybe none, to people who have 10 plus years experience. Most of our students come in with kind of in the middle there, 2 to 6 years. And they will say, I absolutely do not need to take professional development. I am a professional. But this class really helps to set the tone for this program. We really help to articulate clarity and road mapping on how to get there. We work on some really uncomfortable topics on how to have really hard conversations in a professional setting, how to navigate negotiations, how to communicate effectively your science to a broad-based audience, and a lot of other things along the way. I make you do a 16-week job exploration analysis based on scientific method, in which you then at the end have to do a business style pitch, and we bring in outside people that will help to critique some of your presentation skills. So it's a little bit of everything, and it's a lot. Every year we get people, I love it when I get people in the first semester, first week are like, I don't really think I'm going to get anything out of this. Um, and I love the challenge to win you over. And we get really great quotes from you guys at the end. This is one of them. This job or this class helped me to get a job, figure out my career aspirations, and facilitated me to figure out my next step both in graduate school and in my professional life. I feel that this class helped me grow as a person. It was one of my favorite classes this whole semester, and this was just from last fall. So this will be your first class. And then I'm going to pass it over to Michelle. Anything else you want to add there? You're on mute. Okay.
So, what should you be doing now to prepare if you are planning to apply? Make sure you've got your prerequisites. Everybody applying to this program needs to have calculus, math through calculus, no matter what track you're interested in. If you are in data science, you're going to need way more than just calculus math-wise. You're going to need a lot of programming. So, if you're not sure if you've got the prerequisite classes, send me an email. Um, but also look on the website. It should say that too. Uh, if you are maybe like a biotech student and you haven't done a lot of programming before, or an environmental science student, and that first semester, one of your classes is applied statistical techniques, you might consider taking a boot camp using the R programming language that you'll be learning. That class doesn't assume that you have taken it. And so I didn't worry about it when I took that class. And then I came in and I just felt like I was drowning for the first couple of weeks. I was also taking another class where I was learning a different programming language at the same time. Life would have been so much better if I had just done a little online boot camp. There are tons of them. Some of them are free. Sometimes I send out recommendations for them. That can be great. Now, a lot of our students who are working might get employer support. If you work for anyone connected to the University of Utah or in the biotech industry, here in Salt Lake anyway, there's a fair chance that your employer is going to be willing to pay half your tuition. So make sure that you've got that lined up. Or if you're, of course, affiliated with the military, that's going to be the case. Find out if you're working right now, what your employer is willing to chip in, and how flexible they're willing to be with your work schedule, because these classes are mostly, all your STEM classes generally are going to be in person during the day. Job exploration is a great place to start when applying for graduate school. Think about what you want to be doing with your degree. Just look at a bunch of job postings. If they all say they want a master's degree, you're in the right spot. If none of them say that, or if they all say you need a PhD, you know, just look at your options. Um, but we will also help you look at your options in professional development once you're in the program. Also, you can connect with us. We've got LinkedIn that we use more than we use Instagram. Come to one of our in-person events. I'll send you all an invitation to the summit if you are in the Utah area. You can also set up a meeting with me. You all got an email from me inviting you to this program with a link at the bottom where you can set up a meeting to talk to me. And then finally, you can apply. Make sure you've got your letters of support. As maybe even some people on this Zoom meeting know, sometimes getting those letters in takes a minute. And you'll have to get your transcripts, get your essay written. That all takes little bit of effort and time. Once again, we've got some important dates. We've already passed the priority deadline. I mentioned April 1st is the regular application deadline, but we will continue taking applications till all seats in the program are full, or July 1st, whichever comes first. And then August 24th is the first day of classes. That is it. We can go in greater depth on any topics you might want to ask about. Feel free to drop questions into the chat or come off mute and ask them. And I would also invite you all, if you want to drop in the chat just what your location is. We're always curious where people are zooming in from.
The rest of the hour is dedicated to you guys. So now's your time to either ask that question. Welcome, Ogden. Thank you. Taylorsville. Okay,
We got a quiet group this time.
we do. And we have a list of questions. I love it. You were thinking of them as we were going along. No, that's great. Um, So we can actually get through these pretty fast. Do you offer graduate assistantships or tuition waivers? This program does not, because we are not research focused within a lab. We do not have TAs, RAs, or GAs. So teaching assistants, research assistants, or graduate assistants. This is a self-paying program. That's why we really encourage people who are working to really investigate whether their employer has tuition reimbursement programs. Um, what funding options are available for international students? This is what Michelle was mentioning. If you are an international student, um, please reach out early to our international office. ISSS dot, I think utah.edu is the link. The admissions office also has some really great resources for international admissions as well, so they can help answer those questions. It's not that we're deflecting, it's more we don't want to mislead you in that space. What is the average? This is your English proficiency languages. There's Duolingo, there's TOEFL, there's ITELS. They each have a different um, requirement. And so the ones that are listed on it's the international, the ISS uh, website.
And
And I forget
also
what,
yeah,
yeah,
admissions.utah.edu. If you click around in there, you'll find graduate admissions requirements too.
in
But yeah,
general.
so but
Andrew,
I'm gonna admit I don't know the numbers. I have to look them up
I
every
do too.
time because there are a bunch of different test scores. Our requirements are a little higher. They're a slight step above the general requirements for the university for language proficiency.
Yes. Um, yeah, so sorry about that. We can't answer those specifically because I too have to look them up every time because they all have a very different rating scale. What are the job placement outcomes? Job placement outcomes after graduation. We are very forthcoming and we say this program is we do not guarantee any job placements afterwards. What we prioritize is helping to set up those professional contacts and networks from day one. And so everything we do, we're trying to get you exposed. We're trying to get you in front of people that would likely have a professional outcome goal for you. Um, our network is pretty vast, especially in the Utah area, Utah State. Um, but it is also a tough job market in general, and I just want to be very clear with that. Um, a lot of our students, and we could give you some statistics about and percentages about what our students, what's their employment after this program. And I'll just be completely transparent. It would be skewed because a lot of our students come in already employed and they're staying in their company and advancing. So if I were to tell you that, yes, our outcome is actually pretty high. And it's upward. What was the last report was in like the upper 80s, 90s, something like that. It was very high. But as someone who respects data, that is also very misleading as well. Um, CPT and OPT support. So this is for people who want to also have job or work while in the program for international. This is something I'm going to deflect 100% to ISSS. This hasn't, we don't have any authority, or we can sign papers saying yes, you're part of this program, but the ISS office is the one that's going to help you do the paperwork to get approval for OPT and CPT. That was a lot. I hope the takeaway there is go to the ISSS. We'll try to help you where we can, but they're going to be the people with like the clarifying answers.
And
Okay.
I'll just admit, because our program doesn't offer a lot of financial support, we always have one or two international students, but they tend to be people who've been here for a while and are pretty self-sufficient. And I have not had to like guide people through these questions while I've been with the program in the, last 3 years. So
Mhm.
not as good at answering those right off the top of my head.
Michelle, do you want to
Riley.
take? Yeah,
Yeah, I'll take
you take
Riley's.
this one.
So where
Okay.
can we find prerequisites, past calculus, and programming for our program? I'm assuming this is if you're interested in the computational and data science side of things. You'll need calculus 1 and 2 and linear algebra, math-wise, at a minimum. And then just like a variety of programming skills. That's on our website. Um, I'm pretty sure it's in the Q&As. I don't have our whole website
What
memorized, and I'm
what
not,
are you
I've
what are
got
you
too many
looking for?
screens open.
I'll look it up while you speak to the other stuff. The
Well, where they can find prerequisites for the program, and then course boot
okay.
camps for biotech. So if you're applying to biotech, I recently reached out to the application committee and I was like, give me the exact language for prerequisites for biotech. And they were like, well, kind of depends on what kind of biotech they want to go into. But I would imagine you're going to need calculus, you're going to probably need chemistry through organic chemistry. Almost everyone in biotech has a background in biology or chemistry. Um,
If you want to explore further the biotech track specifically, this last name on this page right here, Jennifer Shoemaker Perry. She is a tenured faculty in the Department of Chemistry and has been our biotech track director. So someone who advises our biotech track for the last 16 years. She intimately knows our program and the courses and what STEM courses are likely going to be best fit for your professional outcome. You can email her directly. You can just say, hey, I was at a virtual info session for the PSM program. Can interested in the biotech. What do I need to learn more about? But to Michelle's point, if you're coming in with a bio, a chem, um, molecular, a lot of those type of STEM undergrads, you should be fine and prepared to walk into a graduate biotech program. If you want to veer a huge pivot from um, like analytical chem biotech to something completely different, then there's going to be some up to speed courses. And that's where Jennifer would come in with some really expertise.
um, Jasmine asked for a class list. If any of you want to see the classes that our students choose from, email me because I can't send that attachment through Zoom, I don't think. And I don't know. based on Zoom what your email address is. So just reply to the email you got from me about this session and say, hey, I'd love to see a course listings, and I will send that along to you.
Mhm. And just coming back to some of our high level prereqs, I just dropped in the link here. This is our FAQ. And if you go down to kind of middle page, it says getting in. And the very first question is, what are the minimum requirements for admissions into the PSM program? And in there, we give high level for biotech, computation, and environmental science. What are kind of like the general background that we're either looking for or you should have. So hopefully that will lead you in that right direction there. Yeah, Riley's noting that there's several biotech interests here. You may be finding your new friends right now today. Other questions?
Yeah,
If you go ahead.
so unfortunately, not sure if math and OChem are up to snuff. So we get people who've been out of school for a while, who kind of don't know. That's a great opportunity to reach out to me. I mean, if you just plain old don't have the prerequisites, we do have students who kind of will go out and take those classes, maybe an online course or community college course, um, or if you work for the U and you can get cheap tuition, there you can always take those prerequisites now if you've been out of school for a while as getting up to speed classes. Another thing that sometimes students who are kind of uncertain about their readiness for the program sometimes do is you can take a graduate level class at the university without being admitted to a graduate program. That's called a non-matriculated student. So you're not applying to the whole university. You're just going to take this class one off. And sometimes if we've got a student who's like, yeah, like I said, uncertain, you can take one of those graduate level courses and then you'll have a better idea of whether or not you can hack it. And if you work with me, we can figure out what class might be a good one to test that out on. And if you're then admitted to the program and it's a class that we can count toward the program, we can transfer those credits in.
Jasmine asked about work experience in the industry. Um, we do tend to favor those who are bringing a little bit of industry and work experience, especially in the field they want to go into, because it's those students who kind of have bring that perspective and they get a little bit more out of the program. However, we absolutely recognize and know that this program is built for people who also want to pivot into a different career. And we also realize that this program, and I'm just going to call out my environmental science friends, that it is really hard to break into a good paying position in environmental science without a master's degree. And so we'll get people who say, I can't get, I'm working as a barista that's paying my bills, it's giving me insurance. I don't have, I don't work for a federal agency at USGS. We understand that. We will not look and review your application. So if you don't have those, we're going to lean heavy on factors that would likely lead us to see if you would be successful in the program. And that's going to be looking at your transcripts, your letters of rec, your personal essay, so we can get better insights into who you are and how you fit into this program. If you have professional experience, we also factor that in. We know that you've been out there and you kind of have a better idea of how this will fit into your professional goals. Please
Patrick
don't,
says,
yeah,
okay,
please don't not apply because you think you don't have professional experience, is what I'm trying to get at.
yeah,
Okay.
it's ideal, but it's not a prerequisite. Um, Patrick says that he submitted his application for the program and is curious about next steps. And I'll admit, I checked maybe Tuesday or Wednesday last checked up on which applications are in. So when you apply, your application goes through the university's screening first, and it can take a couple weeks for it to get from there to us. And then I send it out to the committee members, and it can take a week or two there. And then they depending on the decision that is made at that point, it gets sent back and they verify transcripts and things. So it can take a little bit. Um, I'll definitely keep an eye out for all that stuff. And if you have specific questions about your application status, you can reach out to me. Patrick, I did see yours was in the pipeline. I don't know if it's reached us yet, but I'll double check that. We've got, I've got pre-calc, not calc one and two. Oh yeah. So everybody needs calculus for this program because there are courses that everybody takes and calculus is a prerequisite. Calc 2 is only needed if you're going into data science. But if you don't have calculus, find a class and take calculus. I don't know. We do not want, we've had people who have been so convinced that they could make it through and they didn't have all the prerequisites, but they're so smart. They're the smartest kid. Everybody loves them. They can do it. And then they got into the program and floundered and dropped out. And so we do not want to admit people to classes they don't have prerequisites for. And Riley says, could that professional experience be substituted with research projects? Look, like we said, professional experience is ideal. It's not necessary. We love to see research, though, as well as professional experience. So that sounds
Mhm.
fantastic. Absolutely. I mean,
Absolutely.
research is a kind of professional experience. Think broadly.
It definitely is. And definitely talk about that. Talk yourself up. Advocate for yourself in your personal essay. Um, Absolutely. Working on a team in a research lab, that is absolutely professional skills. Riley's asking about how much OChem do we need? It's, it depends what program you're going into. If it's biotech, you might be able to get away with just OChem 1, but I'm not entirely sure. I think that might be a Jennifer Shoemaker
Yeah.
question.
And it will depend on what other classes you've taken too, in
Yes,
that
we
case.
look at it very holistically. So we try to say, if they're a little weak in this area, but they've really beefed up here, likely those learned coursework will translate over into this one. Again, I just want to reiterate, like we really are looking for indicators of success. We don't want anyone to come in. We don't ever want to bring someone in here unless we think they can actually complete this degree because we know it's an investment on your part. And we feel responsibility for that as well.
We got a question about you've already completed calculus. This question might be a difference of terminology depending on where you're coming from. When we say you need calculus as a prerequisite, we mean you just need to show that you've taken it at any time in the past. AP calculus in high school, calculus during your undergraduate degree, calculus is non-matriculated. It just has to be in your background somewhere. No need to retake it if you took it and passed. Any other questions? Should we let them go 7 minutes early? Oh, coding for biotech.
Mm,
You will take some coding classes. If you've done zero coding, you might want to do a boot camp in R before your first semester when you take applied statistical techniques. Some students do, some students don't. I mean, you can do it without.
mhm.
But if you're at all nervous, just go online and find some free classes in our studio. If you have questions about that, if you're admitted to the program, I'll send you a list. But generally, you're not going to have a huge coding background before you get in. It's just in any
Mhm.
scientific field these days, a little bit of coding comes in handy.
And we have some recommended ones too that even through the U offers that we vet with the faculty that are running those. And so, again, if you have questions about that, reach out to Michelle, or Michelle usually puts it out in a communication regardless. Like, here's a couple of recommendations. So we'll kind of help you and guide you along the way. These have been great questions today, by the way. You guys rapid fire. I love it. Well, we will hang on for a few more minutes, but I will kind of like wrap this up. We'll hang on if someone wants to come off mute or ask a few more questions, but we'll kind of bring this to a close here. Thank you again for taking an hour out of your day to come and learn about this program. Please, please, please reach out to us if anything was not clear, you still have questions. This is what we're here for, is to answer the questions, again, setting you up for success. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you.